by Tristan Pottas, Chief Executive of First Development Resources. Tristan, always good to have you on. How's everything going?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, great to be speaking with you today. Really good, thanks. Very busy. It's going to be a very busy end to 2025 for First Development.
Good to hear. So this week you announced an update on your rare earths exploration plans for Selta. So first, for those unfamiliar, can you give us a bit of an overview of the potential here and the targets you're looking at?
Yeah, certainly. Look, Selta we always say it's a really interesting opportunity for First Development. It's a package of land in the centre of Australia, which is comparable in size to Greater London. And within that area, we've identified multiple targets, which we believe are prospective for multiple metals, everything from gold to copper to battery metals, lithium, uranium, and rare earth elements, as the announcement pointed out this week. Now, the rare earth opportunity is one which has always been core to the FDR strategy. However, it's obviously on the back of some recent geopolitical announcements, particularly regarding the Australia-US framework agreement, which is looking to secure the supply of critical metals and rare earth elements. That's made us really try to bring forward some of the exploration which we previously had planned for, into the future, bring it forward and look to capitalise on this opportunity that's been presented. And in terms of the size of the prize, look, of course, it's early stage exploration, Dan, and we've got to do that methodical, systematic work first of all to see what's there. But we are, only less than 100 kilometres north of Arafura Rare Earths Nolan's project, and Nolan's is the largest NdPr project, or one of these with key rare earth elements in Australia, who, when they come into production, believe that they will be able to supply 5% of global demand. And interestingly, Arafura has been named in the framework agreement as one of the companies that will benefit immediately from this framework agreement. So, look, not saying we're going to be replicating that immediately, but the fact that we've got a great example of what success looks like, very close to where the project area is, gives us the encouragement to get after these potential targets on Selta.
Yeah, and that framework agreement, I mean, it's the upshot for FDR, basically, that any discoveries you make will, be a bit more attractive, potentially more likely be takeout targets.
Oh, look, potentially, Dan. Look, obviously, as I mentioned, we are early stage, but we are. What's interesting about Selta is that the targets that we've already defined, they are based on, obviously the underlying geology, but also, historical sampling, which has been completed across the licenses for different metals granted in the past. And that's created the smoke, so to speak. And it's also put a big arrow saying we need to look here. We've got to validate and look to replicate this historical data. And if we do get a sniff of something, then hopefully, as you say, with the profile of rare earth elements being increased on the back of this framework agreement, hopefully we may attract some interest. But ultimately, first of all, Dan, it's about getting out there, doing that first pass work, and seeing what potentially might be there.
Absolutely. So on that note, exploration is kicking off next month and will include stream sediment sampling and mapping. Can you tell us a bit about this work and what you're looking for in that first instance?
Sure. Look. Stream sediment sampling and mapping. It is that first pass work. It's essential that we carry out this layered, systematic, methodical work to build our understanding to a point where hopefully we can take these conceptual targets and take them up the curve to being a drill target. So what we'll be doing is I'll be out on site with a team in early December. Basically, we've got this historical data set which was collected in the early 2000s, and we're looking to go out to where those samples were taken to look to replicate these elevated total rare earth element results which were reported to the ASX. So it's basically we want to first of all validate the historical data, which of course isn't our data, replicate it but on a greater density to give ourselves a better understanding as to where we should be looking next. Now, we do stream sediment sampling because if you imagine a stream, or it all drains from a catchment area, a specific catchment area. Therefore, what we take out of the dried up riverbed will have originated from a particular catchment. So if we find something of significance, we'll be able to really refine that search area to take the project forward to the next level of exploration, which will be, rock chip sampling, more of that early stage stuff. But it's about really getting a good understanding of what the rocks may hold in the area. And of course, mapping and reconnaissance is a great way of just getting that broader understanding of the ground.
Yeah, and what sort of, I don't know if you can say at this point, but do you know what sort of time frame we're looking at for this first pass work, and then I guess the follow-up exploration from that, depending on the results of the first round?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, essentially, we want to get this done as efficiently as possible. You know, these targets have been defined, they've been refined, and now we're heading straight out to site. We know where we're heading. We've got a great team who has the necessary capability to get us into the areas where we need to be. The fieldwork program itself shouldn't take any more than a week. As soon as those samples have been collected, you know, they'll be heading to Adelaide from Alice Springs for geochemical analysis. And although obviously there's a Christmas break which may slow things down, we would hope to have results, you know, pretty early in the new year. And on the back of those results, of course, we'll have to spend a little bit of time just understanding what they tell us, and if it gives us the encouragement to go back out. Look, we want to try and work these targets up as soon as possible. We have a great network of consultants and contractors on the ground who can help us. And look, yeah, if there's something there to follow up, we'll follow up very efficiently.
Absolutely. And you mentioned up top that Selta is also prospective for gold and some other elements. Will exploration focus on those perhaps after you've done the rare earths initial work?
Not necessarily, Dan. So you may recall we put out an announcement last month which basically set out our exploration strategy for gold. And in that announcement, we pointed to two phases of geophysical work which we want to complete to basically better understand the nature of the regional structure which we believe extends onto Selta. We did say that work, well, certainly some of that work we wanted to complete this year, and we are still on target to do just that. So, yeah, look, we've got the rare earth exploration happening in the next few days, weeks. That will very quickly be followed by the aeromagnetic survey, which we pointed to. And then hopefully in the new year, we'll be following up that airmag survey with a ground-based geophysical survey to hopefully refine those gold targets at Selta even further. Again, all to the point where we're trying to build up that layer of understanding, or those layers of understanding, increasing the confidence to allow us to really hone in and establish the drill targets. Now, again, drill targets will require another layer of permissions, but I'm pleased to report that we've already commenced that program to get the necessary approvals in place to allow us to move very quickly to drilling for gold once we've completed the geophysical investigation, which we set out in the announcement last month.
Great. So will you be heading out to the field pretty soon then?
Yes, Dan. I'll be on a plane late next week, leaving the rather cold Yorkshire weather and heading straight to the centre of Australia. It'll be a bit of a contrast, but look, really looking forward to getting boots back on the ground at Selta. It's a really intriguing prospect for FDR. Tons of opportunity, but it's a question of putting that money into the ground, working up the targets, and effectively doing what we said we were going to do, and that's really explore impactful work, efficient work to take these targets up to a drill-ready status at the earliest opportunity.
Great. Well, thanks again for your time, Tristan. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to catch up when you're out in the field and you can show us how everything's looking on the ground.
I hope so, Dan. It would be great to be able to show the contrast, as I say, from where I am today and where I'll be in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, look, as I mentioned at the top of this discussion, it's going to be a very busy end to 2025 for FDR, and hopefully an even busier start to 2026. And as always, you know, we just can't wait to get stuck into it.
Great. Thanks, Tristan.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.